What's up, YouTube? Dr. Kemp here once again. Today I'm going to talk about bass woofers or bass speakers that are used in Leslie tone cabinet systems. Now, the Leslie speaker system uses a 15-inch bass woofer. The specifications call for a 16 ohm woofer. There are many woofers that have been, of course, created, that are available, that are 15-inch. I mean, there are 4 ohms, there are 8 ohms, and so forth. But the specs calls for a 16 ohm bass woofer, and so I recommend staying with that, whatever brand you choose to use as a bass woofer. And I'm going to show you what I use and what I recommend for you to use in your Leslie speaker cabinets. But whatever, regardless of the name brand or the type of woofer you choose to use in your Leslie cabinet, I recommend that you stay with a 16 ohm woofer. Now, the woofer that I have here on the desk today, and I have others that I'm going to show you as well, is a Utah. This is a Utah 15-inch woofer made in the 1960s, so it's a vintage woofer. This one has been reconed. It's ready for installation. It's a reliable bass woofer. Sounds great. You don't have to worry about not being able to get your deep, rich bass. You're going to get deep, rich bass with one of these Utah 15-inch 16 ohm bass woofers in your system. You can use these in Leslie 147s, Leslie 122s, 251s, 47s, 22Hs. All of those cabinets use this and can use this type of woofer. One that is similar to this, that is perhaps even more popular, is the Jensen P15LL. You can distinguish between the Jensen and the Utah in that the Utah has a circular frame or decoration here in the frame, while the Jensen has more of a rectangular shape decoration there in the frame. And I'm sure it's more than decoration. I'm calling it a decoration, but it's a ventilation in the frame. So decorative ventilation would probably be a better use of terms, or better terms for it. Decorative ventilation. All right, let me turn this over. These are rated, and it's hard to find this information about the wattage ratings on these speakers, but from what I've seen, they're rated at about 35 watts, which is essentially perfect for the 40 watt Leslie amplifiers that are used in the Leslie speaker cabinet systems. Now let me show you another one that I like. Has a different shape. This is the Jensen. This is the vintage Jensen P15LL. Again, these were made in the 1960s. This particular one, date coded 1964. Again, there's a date code down here that I can see. Tells me that it was manufactured in 1964. there. So these are excellent woofers to have in your system. And what I do is I have my bass woofers reconed professionally, so that I can have a reliable speaker. I know that I have a reliable speaker in my Leslie cabinet. Based on my experience, what I've noted is that you can have a bass woofer in your cabinet that's been there for years, and not have any problems with it, and then open the cabinet, remove the back, take the speaker out, dust it off, reinstall it, and the speaker fail. I've seen that happen more than once. So I strongly recommend that if you remove a vintage speaker and it has not been reconed, that once it's been removed, that you have it professionally reconed. Here at Vintage B3 Oregon, you can send your speaker to us, and we can take it to the man that recones speakers for us in the Kansas City area, or you can contact us and contact me, and I can give you the address directly, and you can send it to him. Either way, it's worth having your speaker reconed. Now these are expensive. These are expensive. A freshly reconed Jensen woofer like this sells for over $300. The C15s sell for over $200. So, but they are worth, as I said, having in your system, because they provide the necessary reliability that is needed, assurance that you want to have as a musician playing your organ. You don't want your speakers going out in the middle of a service, or even before the service starts. Okay. Service, I say service, or it could be a concert or whatever, however you're using your organ. Now, I've tried a number of other speakers. In fact, I've tried one of the new Jensen C15 speakers, and personally, I didn't like the sound of that relative to my vintage C15s and vintage P15LLs. In fact, the new Jensen C15 that I tried, I actually sent it back, returned it to the company, and had my P15LL that had been installed in that particular Leslie reconed, and I reinstalled it, and I got the type of sound, the bass sound, the depth, the deep thump that I wanted, that I was looking for, and that I knew that could be delivered from that Leslie system. The new C15 just was not providing that type of sound for me. So since that experience years and years ago, I've not even tried to purchase another new Jensen C speaker, because I'm well pleased and satisfied. I'm happy with my reconed vintage Jensen speakers. Now, I have, however, tried another name brand of speakers. These tend to be more expensive. They're more expensive to have reconed, and I've had mine reconed, and that's the JBL. I'll show you a JBL here. This is one of several that I have. I have others that are boxed up. But this particular one is a reconed 2225J JBL, and the professional that reconed it reconed it. We're at the specifications of a 2220J. Now the 2225J is a 200 watt speaker, but so is the 2220J. It's also a 200 watt speaker. Then there are others in the series. There's a 2205B and a 2205J. That's 150 watts. And of course, I have one 2226J that is a 600 watt. But when you're getting up there, over 100 watts, 150 to 200 watts, you're just not using all of that speaker. You're not using that wattage, because the basic Leslie amplifier is not driving it hard enough to use that. So it's like you're spending money for something that you're not getting the full usage out of. Now, I don't even sell the JBLs that I have. I have a few of them that I keep in cabinets. I use one for my rental system because my rental system is souped up. I did some things to my rental Leslie, and my rental organ that drives that system much more than you would normally see in a typical Hammond organ system. So I use a 2226J bass woofer in that cabinet, and I have other cabinets that I have retained for personal use that have 2225s, 200 watts, or 2220, 200 watt bass woofers by JBL in them. Whenever you use a JBL, you have to use it with one of these spacers, because the frame, the base of the frame of the JBL, this part here, is thinner than that of the Jensens, and so therefore the tendency is for these speakers to sit down lower in the cabinet, on the cabinet base, and therefore increasing the probability of contact between the rotor and the cone. The rotor that's under the bottom of the cabinet and the cone, and thus tearing up your cone, and you don't want to do that in a freshly reconed woofer. You don't want to tear your woofer up. So we'll use one of these spacers there, and that'll raise it up just enough for you to be able to install your bass woofer, your JBL bass woofer, in your cabinet. And what does it sound like? It sounds wonderful. You get rich, deep bass. Those who have studied the relationship between amplifiers and speaker wattage understand, and I've done some reading about that, and I've read some things that it says that you can mess up speakers by not pushing them hard enough. Well, whether you're going to mess one of these up by not pushing it hard enough in your Leslie cabinet, I really can't say, because I've never messed one up. All I know is I've used them and they sound fantastic. I've never blown one. I've never been able to overpush it, overdrive it. But then I haven't been using these for 30 years either. And I know that for now, they sound marvelous in my cabinets, and I'm going to continue to use them until I detect that there is some kind of problem. But I haven't seen any problem in using the JBLs. But for my customers, I recommend using the Jensen C15s, the Jensen P15LLs, and the Utah 15-inch woofers, and then you can alleviate any anxiety about a mismatch between the amplifier and speaker wattage. You don't have to worry about that. You're going to have the right setup. You're meeting the specifications for the system. You're going to have a reliable speaker that's going to perform and do what it is that you want it to do in your Leslie cabinet, tone cabinet, and that's pretty much all I can say about that. There was one more thing that I wanted to mention. You can try to do some research on these speakers yourself. It's pretty tough to find specs on some of these like the vintage Jensen P15LLs, but I was able to come up with a document that, if you're interested in, I may post it on my Facebook page. You can hit me up on Facebook if you're interested in seeing that document. My Facebook address is, you go to Facebook and you put in Vintage B3 Organ Incorporated, and you can find me there, and I may post that information, if I'm able to, about the specs on the vintage P15LL, because there's some good information that I found about the voice coil, the range in terms of the hertz, and some other things like that. So hit me up on Facebook if you're interested in that. All right. So until that time, Dr. Kemp saying, peace out.